Kyle Brown. Sanatla, who scored a hat-trick, first half hat-trick in that opening match, starts this evening. Horn and Cock and Whiteley added to the try scoring, and they'll be the ones testing the Cook Islands defence, who are really just enjoying their moment on the big stage, used to spending their lives, I guess, in the shadows. Fellow South Sea Islanders, Fiji, Samoa. Chad Tuora, the New Zealand Maori, who actually pulled on a New Zealand 7 shirt in his time, the World Cup 5 years ago, looking after the Islanders these days. South Africa against the Cook Islands then. Africans looking for the win that will confirm their place in tomorrow's quarterfinals. Simon Mannix has joined us back in the commentary box.
Well, not the ideal start there for South Africa with a kick out on the full. Of course, we'll restart back at halfway with a free kick. Chance for the Cook Islands to set up a set play.
Given the job of replacing Paul True this year.
Well, you cannot kick a free kick into touch. That's out on the full. Let's see if the touch judge gets that right. The assistant referee, no. But the referee, yes.
It's only a free kick, boys.
A bizarre piece of play there from the Cook Islands. Anyway, we've burnt a minute on the clock. Maybe that's their tactic here. Try and run the clock down.
Actually worked. Line out. Branko de Pree running around and then having to regather the ball.
Can't collapse the rack. Number 5.
That's de Pree.
He's got this one right. Penalty, yes, you can kick directly into touch, and yes, you will have the throw. And well done. Good knowledge of the laws there. Take 2.
It's Harry Berryman. Life's an education.
It's a learning process, this game, isn't it?
Not straight.
The ball wasn't straight. They're being very, very tight on that aspect of the game.
They are. It's just a shame, you know, given the nature of the game, just an observation. I wouldn't certainly claim to be an expert on the game of sevens whatsoever, but shame we don't go to a free kick in this situation, for my mind. We're talking about speed, we're talking about the ball being in play the whole time. And it is a wonderful, wonderful game, this game of rugby sevens. I just think the more scrums we can avoid in this game, possibly the better. But anyway, that's my gripe for the day. We'll move on and watch South Africa play off this scrum.
Actually, from an offensive point of view as well, it might suit South Africa in that situation. A bit of broken play, some Cook Island defenders still in the line-out. They might have fancied giving it a go there. Instead, they're giving it a go here off the resulting scrum. Frankie Horn charging forward, throwing his weight around. Sanatla managing to get the ball away, but Harry Berryman's putting in a fair old amount of work at the moment. This is the skipper, Kyle Brown, standing player, far off being the IRB World Sevens Player of the Year last season. He is just magnificent. He's the cog around which all of South Africa's best sevens work revolves, and he took his time putting the ball down there, and he got a little bit of a shove up the ribs to tell him to get a hurry up, but good score.
Well, you called this one well. We just noticed the position he came in from here, Brown. Coming from real depth, tracking inside the play. And as the ball carrier just is able to hold the ball up in the middle of the field, he can pick the lines he wants to run. And, of course, a player of his ability. It's all about work rate as well. These guys, these top teams know it. And all that extra little bit of work they do off the ball, it pays eventually for your team. Kyle Brown going in for the first try. Took a little bit of time for them to get the machine rolling here, but I think they're on their way now. As we see here, there it is. Strong athlete. What a many strong athletes playing here this weekend. It was frustrating, the Cook Island defence, just a touch there.
I think he knew the hit was coming, but he probably deserved it. He's a flanker in the 50 in the side game. All his athleticism.
Knock on by Green first.
Frankie Horn putting himself around, forcing the knock-on.
Another abrasive footballer, isn't he, Frankie Horn? There's no messing around with him, not too many questions asked.
Crouch!
Welsh, strong player in the breakdown. So they get a decent platform here to work from.
Cecil Africa, IRB Player of the Year not so long ago, bronze medal from Delhi. Readying himself to put the ball into this scrum. Carried the flag at the opening ceremony across the river at Celtic Park back on Wednesday evening. Go to prayer again. Nothing wrong with Cook Islands' defence at the moment, and the line speed as well. They're up very quickly to create that line, but perhaps just a little bit too quickly. Any hint of a dogleg will be exploited, and it was exploited there by somebody who you'd expect to do just that, Cecil Africa.
Well, the initial attack by South Africa was very lateral, and there the defence is able to shift as soon as we straighten up the attack, and that's by coming off the right foot, Cecil Africa. One of the other influential players in the South African side. It's the experienced men standing up at the moment, isn't it, and really carrying this team through to this early advantage. But Africa did extremely well, straightened the line of attack, which was missing from the initial set-piece attack there when they shifted the ball out to Sinatla. It all looks a bit too lateral from South Africa currently, but I'm sure that they'll rectify that very quickly.
Just looking at that from a Cook Islands defensive point of view, is that kind of that rush defence, the blitz defence, the best way of doing things in sevens? Is that kind of the accepted approach these days?
Well, I think they can mix it up depending on the type of players they have and their ability to read and to make that tackle. If you don't stop the ball at all, you can look very silly with that, with a rush-type defence. I think they look a team much better trying to control the opposition and staying on their inside and working them towards the touchline, which is what they did from the scrum. Unfortunately, on that occasion there, they caught out of the line, the inside's not working hard enough, and then they're in trouble. Let's see how they track this time.
Again, they're up relatively quickly. Again, a hole as they push forward. They will be exploited by South Africa. De Preer trying to wriggle away. Angled run from Brown. Looking to find Chris Dry, but the ball's been intercepted. As hard as James Raya tried to get the ball away, he couldn't.
Green, second by white.
Not spent a great deal of time in South Africa's half in this first 7 minutes.
No, but very interesting contrast there. And we're just talking about the defence and effort. There, the inside player made, if he didn't make the tackle, the second play, he came in and intercepted the ball on the way back in. So just sort of confirming what we're seeing from up here, and we're all experts sitting up in the grandstand, but that slide defence for them, that's what's going to work. If a team's sliding against you, then you need to be direct. South Africa got to be straighter in their attack.
One last go for the Africans. Looking to run around the defence on this occasion, and that's what they've done.
Beautifully taken try. Much better execution on this occasion from the South Africans through the midfield.
Siabelo Sinatla, who got a hat-trick in the previous game against Trinidad and Tobago, is on the try-scoring board again in this one against the Cook Islands.
Squares them up nicely through the midfield. Ranku de Preer, and then it is feeds the man on the outside. Sinatla in for another try.
Sliding it wide off the left foot. Just as we're talking about introducing things, free kicks for squint throws in sevens. What about conversions as drop goals in the full 15-a-side game? That'd speed things up as well, wouldn't it?
It would certainly speed things up, and would introduce possibly a new skill. That okay, in the 15-a-side game where Johnny Wilkinson was the master, wasn't he? But I'll take it a step further. I'd love to see the two-point conversion from the 22 straight in front, and a three-point conversion from the 40-metre mark. That way we're still keeping we're making sure that the try is pretty much guaranteed a 7-pointer. There's nothing more frustrating from my point of view to see a great try score in the corner, the conversion to be missed, come back and see a silly mistake from the kick-off, and straight away the deficit is kicked 5 points to 3 and turned around quickly. Plenty of changes, everyone's got their ideas, but Sure, goal kicking is a great skill in the game, and I think it's something, definitely that we've got to keep in the game without a doubt. But I would love to see almost a try being guaranteed a minimum of 7 points. Don't know, food for thought.
Yeah, interesting. So the 8-pointer would be from the 10-metre line.
On the 10-metre line, because that way we're putting value on the goal kicker, and it becomes a tactical thing, doesn't it? Almost, almost an American football situation where the coaches are deciding, do we go for a 2-point conversion or a 3-point play?
Or the 3-point shot in basketball.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And we're still rewarding the technique that is goal kicking, which is such an important part of our game of rugby union. But anyway, that's for another day. That's for another day. I didn't mean to open that can of worms there, Nick. I'm sorry.
No. Well, it's what Sevens about. It's a test bed as much as anything. It's so often Sevens leads and the 15-a-side game, without a doubt, follows. Certainly in terms of new technology at the moment, they're using things that the 15s are now just beginning to cotton on to.
And I just think things are so much clearer in the sevens because of the lack of numbers on the field, and the techniques are highlighted, aren't they, in terms of, ruck situations, the tackle player situation, and the 15s can take a lot of learning out of what we're seeing here on display at the moment in terms of technique used by these players, and they're doing a lot of good work.
So one of the techniques is kicking off. As a result of that, South Africa will get to go straight from the off in this second half, and that is a real turn of speed. Goodness me. That left a vapour trail. He scored at the end of the first half, and Sinatla streaks in at the start of the second.
Just have a look at the straight running from Kyle Brown here as he straightens up the defensive line, and then it's out to speed on the outside, not taking up the space by running into it. I think that's a superbly executed try, and real lesson there of just when they straighten up their line of attack, how much more effective they are, and it doesn't allow, because they have the speed on the outside, and Sinatla straight running doesn't allow the defence to shift off. Well played, Kyle Brown, and a lovely taken try, South Africa.
We've been talking all day about the preservation of space, and just because it's there, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to use it all the time. You've got to save it almost for a rainy day, haven't you?
It's so true, and if the space is how you get the ball in there, long miss passes, that's not the way to get it in there. Because it allows recovery time for the defence to shift across. So the passing, the line running to get the ball into that space, straight is best in this game of rugby, and it's so much more evident to see when there are only 7 players on the field. But it's lessons for everybody, be it in 7s or 15s.
There's decent work from Quagga Smith, who was out of his blocks very quickly
play on.
Chase that restart, and in the end it's his scrabbling around on the ground that very nearly won it for South Africa.
Knock on.
Will be a Cook Islands throw.
Here's the man.
Might have been England's opening night opponents, by the way, at next year's Rugby World Cup. Could have been running out at Twickenham. They'd have had to have beaten Fiji in the decider for that to have happened, but they lost 108-6, so I guess they couldn't really argue about it in the end. It will be Fiji at Twickenham next September. Trying to batten down the hatches here. Josh Patero doing his best to hold on to those white shirts that seem to be coming with a little bit more insistence now. And the ball back inside, and that's again a nicely worked try. Cornell Hendricks, who's a Springbok these days, he can call himself a full test player. Made his debut a few months ago, and he's scoring here at Ibrox in the Commonwealth Games.
Great identification and technique to hit the ball. This is a time when the wide pass was required. Defence was rushing up, and Frankie Horn there, great read on it. Trail ball back on the inside, and Hendricks is in unopposed to score the try. Well played, South Africa. Just shows when they just take it up a notch. Don't know what was said at half-time, but they seem they're flowing a lot better in the second half. A lot more fluency about their game. Whether it's the physical nature of it's already telling on this Cook Island defence, I'm not so sure, but tough team to play and move around the South African side. Threats everywhere. And when you see the big man like Frankie Horn throwing those long passes out wide, you're worried about him on the inside with his power, and then he beats you with a pass to the outside. Just shows what weapons they have across the field.
Have we got a player on? Okay, sure.
Frankie Horn, I think, probably quite rightly feels that that'll do. Saving himself for the final match of their day against Kenya.
Knock on.
It's always likely to be the big match of their day, having started against Trinidad and Tobago and now against the Cook Islands. It looks as if before that match with the Kenyans they'll be sure of their place.
You have to bind underneath.
In the quarterfinals.
Crouch. Bind. Sit.
Battle for the ball in the mini-sized version of the scrum. And again, it's Hendricks. Oh, goodness me. That's what the Cheetahs winger can do. That's what has attracted Heineke Mayor's attention. That was swift, lightning footwork.
Lightning footwork, and it certainly was swift. Have a look at here, the player coming round on the loop, but running straight, the ball in two hands, the defence not quite sure, and then it's just straight power to burst through the line. Very well taken try. The defence was tight enough, but there were threats coming from other angles, which opened up the space. And these guys only need half a hole to hit through, don't they? And Hendricks on that occasion again, off the mark, just too quick.
We might have had Brian Habana playing with us here this evening. He was on standby for injury cover. There were one or two whispers floating around Ibrox around this time yesterday that they might have to call on Habana, but who needs Habana when you've got Hendricks?
Well, certainly speed across the field on this side. Gee, if you throw Habana in it, you're talking threats everywhere. But you need the quick guys to be able to play ball as well, and Hendricks showing his ability on that occasion there.
90 seconds left. Cook Islands' final match of the day.
12!
From Sinatla.
Fine, play on.
The ball's there to be taken by somebody who wants it most. Here goes Hendricks again.
How quick's this hat-trick?
Well, we need to get the video replay boys on this. I don't know. Well, it must... What are we going to say? A couple of minutes?
Couple of minutes, yeah. It's just been one touch here and is fighting on the ground. Sinatla doing good work. Frees the arm. Hendricks off the left foot. Straightens off the right foot. Well taken try once again. I thought Sinatla's hat-trick in the earlier game in the first half was impressive, but I tell you what, he's been done here.
He's a very good player. Slippery player. Cornell Hendricks. Half a minute to go, and it's not taken Hendricks much longer than that. Just a shade over a minute we're hearing. That's extraordinary. What did you do over the last minute? I scored a hat-trick.
I scored a hat-trick again. Brilliant. Brilliant. Great work by the boys in the van there, coming up with those numbers for us.
Knock-on advantage.
Marcel doing his best to get his hands on the ball. The hoot has gone, so this is the final play of the match. How much consolation might the Cookies take from this?
No thought of going into touch with South Africa, is there? They want to play. Oh dear, is he going to go in for another one? Hendricks, no, give it to the man on the outside. And how quick is he? Sinatla, well.
And he ends up with a hat-trick of his own as well. So a couple of Springbok hat-tricks in what in the end was a comprehensive destruction of the Cook Islands. 3 for Hendricks and 3 for Sinatla. I'd like to see 2 of them in a head-to-head on the athletics track up the road at Hampden.
Oh, certainly. These boys can shift, can't they? Identification of where the space is. Sinatla holding the space, getting the ball there. And then, yes, little kiss, the up sky, look skyward. Lovely try, well taken, South Africa. Got to say it, another clinical performance from them.
Sinatla's got about half a dozen tries in his first 2 games. To finish with an extra 2 points. We're not. South Africa will content themselves with a half century. Neil Powell will be pleased. First couple of matches, they have scored 86 points in combination and conceded nothing, having seen off Trinidad and Tobago and now the Cook Islands, and they look to be in pretty decent shape. A gathering force as they head into their final match of the day against Kenya. They've beaten the Cookies by 50 points to 0.